Kim Baskol to my Ozen. To Mamish, no, it's fast eat stam here, shield stam, it's Baskol. And stam.
Okay. You want to take the chair? Go ahead. You can sit wherever you want. We want to welcome Rabbi Rudner to Tzeilmad. Over the years, I would say that Rabbi Rudner has delivered insightful, inspiring, and then occasionally controversial Tzeilmad, but always interesting, always worth the kugel and staying up a little extra half hour. I hope it's worth it for us. I hope it's worth it for you too. He's also a mechaber of the third volume already of Nekuda Sar. I think the ones in the front are sold out.
There's still one more left.
There's one left. There's one more left. But really, if you have time and you want to stay up Shavuos and you want to really challenge yourself as a scumus from Oligtown in Toronto, right, and beyond. He's very embarrassed, doesn't want to speak about it, but really is fantastic. It's an honor to be here. He's involved with TTT. Tonight,
TTEC.
What's that?
TTEC.
TTEC, right. Not TT. I wrote TTT on it.
I can't tell that. I don't know what you wrote.
I think you wrote TTT.
I did write TT. Okay.
TTT is I think,
an
extinct
old
for a lot of years.
school. Yeah. So you can take the name if you want. I want to thank the Botnick family for sponsorship, for Lilu Nishmas, Chana Rachel Bas Reb Nachman, that's Shaya Meyer's mother, Aleh Shalom, and now they've also been blessed with a granddaughter, I see, right? It's supposed to be here, so shkar for that. And Bez Hashem, we will have it again next week, even though usually we have every second week, but lead into Shavuos. Speaker to be determined. Go ahead.
Okay. Pasuk in the end of Bahar says like this. There's a parish of a person that doesn't have any money, and he feels that he has no choice but to sell himself. He can't find a Jewish buyer, sells himself to a guy. So the Torah says, if he sold himself, after he sold himself, now there's a chiyuv for the relatives to redeem him. Echad me echad yigolenu. Oy doi doi, oy ben doi doi. What's a doi doi? What's doi doi? Uncle, what's ben doi doi?
Cousin.
First cousin. Pasuk here is referencing Meforish. I don't know where else the Torah references Lehedia Meforish. And that's what I want to discuss today, the topic of Kroivim. The car of a first cousin, Ben Doidoi, Yigolenu. So really the topic of Kroivim is something which I don't think is discussed very often. It's something which some people appreciate, some don't. Some keep close to cousins, some make sure to keep very distant from cousins. I want to discuss a Torah approach to cousins. So I want to, before cousins, let's back up a step. In Parshas Emor, there's a chiyuv on a kohen to become tomei, to defile himself to his 7 relatives. We'll see. The Ram says 6, 7. The wife is a question. The din is also the wife. Plus doesn't mention wife according to Rishonim. Akapanim, the closest relatives. Again, I would say in English the term is loved ones. It doesn't have to be like that necessarily. That's what they're called. The Rambam writes in Sefer HaMitzvah the following statement. He's a big chiddush. He says, really, this that a person, the Kohen V'tamei to the 7 Kroivim, teaches a tremendous mitzvah, a tremendous thing, which is not mafurish. It's not a clear mitzvah in Taryag, but he says it's a deiraisa that we learn from this mitzvah, and that is the mitzvah of avelus. And the Rambam says an astounding statement. He says, the mitzvah of Tumah, a kohen is a mitzvah of Tamid kohen, that itself shows and is the mitzvah of avelus. Everybody, every Jew is a chiv to misabel avelus on his kroivim. Koloimar, shisha may say mitzvah. Again, shisha, shiva, 6 or 7 that are his closest relatives. Hashem wanted to mechazek this chiyuv of avelus bir oitze bekoyen shu muzra la tuma she'etame al kolponim k'shar Yisrael. The Torah made a din that a kohen must be metame himself kedesh lo yitlash or lo yechlash din avelus, so that we shouldn't weaken the mitzvah avelus. In other words, so to speak, the Ram is telling us, in order to make a massive statement that a person should have the importance of avelus, to his 7 Krovim. Hashem said, a kohen is matame. Kohen is not matame anybody. Kohen to the biggest, to a godless, Talmud Chacham, a tzaddik, he's not matame. To a friend, not matame. He's matame. You know why? Because there's a chiyuv avelos. The person has to wallow in tsar and show the closeness that he has to his relatives. Once a guy that was, a workaholic, never had time for his parents. So he never called his mother, never visited her, never visited her. One time his mother called and says, Yankel, when I die, are you going to sit Shiva? He says, Mommy, of course. Why do you ask such a question? What's the shayla? He says, Yankel, do me a favor. Give me 2 days now. Sit 5 days only. Sit 5 days. Avelis is indicative. It doesn't start then. It starts now. The Avelis of Pshat, that you have 7 Krovim that you have to hold close. You have to take care of at all costs. That's 7 Krovim. That's the first level of Krovim we have in Parshas Emor. You see from Tumas Kohanim, the Rambam says that teaches a mitzvah Avelis. The second level of Krovim, and that the pasuk here is saying DODO OR BEN DOD. And that second level are cousins, uncle, a brother, and cousins, first cousins.
Brother? Brother's not a sugar.
Brother, I'm sorry, 7 Krovim, I'm sorry. Yeah, uncle and cousins, first cousins. There's a very interesting Taz in Hilchas Tisha B'Av. Before I read the Taz to you, I'm going to tell you that when I say cousins, the idea of cousins, cousin has a halacha, they're pasla edus. Minat Torah. Now we know really in Gittin and Kiddushin, we're more makbid. We don't even let second and third cousins be edim, be witnesses. But that's a chumrah. Me'ikra adin, only first cousins are pasla edus, and they're pasla minat Torah. Even our first cousin, he said, I don't know my first cousin. In Eretz Yisrael, it's common. A person can have like 300 first cousins. He doesn't even know all his first cousins. It's pasal minat Torah la'edus. Now this psul edus, so you think it's a halach and edus. It's not really a halach and edus. I want to tell you an amazing taz. A taz in a Mishabura. In Shvuah Shachar Tisha B'Av, so you make a bris, you can have fleishiks. But the taz says, the Ramah says, only invite 10 people. 10 people you can invite. Says the taz like this. This at the Ramah says 10 people. Minyan Tzumtzum. That is excluding, that's besides the Kruim. What does the Kruim mean? Nira Pirushai, says the Taz, explaining Agoyis Menhagim, Hainu HaKruim Shem Kroivim, Shem Shayochim Bevadai Lahasuda. The Meshmur explains it means Kroivim that are apostle La'edus. First cousins, uncles, aunts, that are shaykh b'vadei l'suda, they don't count. You get 10 besides them. What does that mean? Why? Because they are part of the simcha. Of course they're there. They're not like special extra guests that you're inviting. You have an invite, you can invite 10 guests. Says the Taz, they don't count. They're vadei shaykh l'suda. Of course they're there. That's like their simcha. Why is it like the simcha? Why is it the simcha? That's not the simcha, it's the first cousin simcha. So there's an amazing thing. The etzem halach of a psul edus, this that is a this that a karv is pasla edus. What's the reason? If I ask someone what's the reason, what do you say? What's the reason a karv pasla edus? Why? He has negias, right? The Gemara is not like that. The Gemara says, I feel Moshe v'aharon that have no negias are pasla. It's like the Rashba brings a rival that says a fascinating thing. He says, I'll show you it's not because of the negias. Because if you know where the psul edus comes from, the pasuk says the following pasuk: La yumsu avois abonim. The Rashi brings a rivid. What does that mean? Lo yumsu avois abonim means sons cannot be edim to say their father is chayiv misa. The Gemara then says, you know something? We have a drasha also for schus, but the pasuk is by chayiv. Says the rivid, if the reason is because you're nageya the other way. You're nageya, you want them to be pater, not to be chayiv. And the pasuk says they're apostle by chayiv. We learn also by ptur, which means it seems to be saying the ikar psul of edus is la yumsu avois abonim. Hashem does not want a relative to die at the hands of another relative. Even when he's chayiv misa, it's b'chal Shabbos. Hashem doesn't want la yumsu avois abonim, that the cause of death for a person should be his first cousin. That's psul edus. Psul edus is indicative. Psul edus shows us the people that in our life we have to take care of the most. To the extent that Hashem doesn't want we should be at all a tzad to cause any downfall for them, even when they're chayiv misa. That's what Psulei Eidos shows us. Says the Taz, those people, they're coming to your simcha. They don't have to be invited. They're b'nei simcha. They're bali simcha. They're mishtativ in the simcha. Mamela. That's what a cousin is. That's what a relative is. You take care of a relative. You're b'simcha when he's b'simcha. You're b'tzar when he's b'tzar. When do we become a nation? Mitzrayim. What Hashem say? L'mishpechoseichem tasu Pesach. Make your Pesach l'mishpechoseichem. Says Rabbeinu Bechaya. You know what that means? Mishpechoseichem. Sagt Rabbeinu Bechaya. Mikan shechayev adam lekarev kroivov. Kedei sheyismuchu imoem b'yomim tovim. There's a chiv to mekarev your relatives, so you should have simcha with them in Yom Tovim. So you think, okay, it's only in this world, only now in Golus. V'chein b'moy sagula la'osid lavoi heftichanu HaKadosh Baruch Hu v'eskarev ishal mishpachtoi. Hashem promised us that we'll be close ishal mishpachtoi shenemar bo'esahi nu'um Hashem ehyeh le'loikim l'chol mishpachos Yisrael. I will be again a God, full God, with full dominion, with everyone recognizing me. To who? To all the families of Israel. Are going to be families? What? That cousin? That cousin. Yeah, families. Mishpachos. Mishpachos. Mekarev mishpacha. There's an amazing chiddush that Chacham Tzvi paskins.
So cousins that you're saying...
So far up to first cousins. So far we stopped at first cousins. We'll go further afterwards. Right now we're discussing Psulei Eidos. Psulei Eidos, the Torah is telling us, the Raisa Psulei Eidos is exactly, if people have made a mistake, it's a scary thing. The Raisa. If second cousins are Edamai Kedushin, you don't do again the Kedushin, because it's Chal. It's a Chumrah. First cousin is a Puzzle Eidos. The Chacham Tzvi says, we all know, I imagine, how important it is to support Talmidei Chacham. It's the greatest thing, support Torah. Says the Chacham Tzvi, you know who beats a Talmid Chacham? Your ugly cousin, your relatives. Zog the Chacham Tzvi, the l'chol mine hanois kroivay oni koidem la'acher, af ma'acher u'Talmid Chacham kroivay koidem. Shekol korov mitzvahs kroivav olav. Because the korov has on him the yoke of taking care of his relatives. Zog the Chacham Tzvi. Not only in Gashmias, but in Ruchnias, but call mitzvah sheyachol lezako. It says kroivoy. You can help your korov become a little more from oya acherim kroivman. Korov is first. Korov is first. Your cousin. You don't have shayla. He's not so from. He could be more. He's not learning enough. You don't have to learn. But it's hard. It's a cousin that develop a relationship. Just work. Spend time to develop a relationship in order to bring him closer to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. What greater thing can you do for him? Says the Chacham Tzvi, Kol Shekain, Kal V'Chaimer, Im L'chai Yisho HaKorav Koidem. If for tzedakah the halacha is a korov is first, L'chai Olam L'Kol Shekain. To sit in the next world in Olam Haba, isn't it certainly like that? Kroiv him. My cousin is not a chosh of a person. He's not a bar milah. Doesn't make a difference. The Rebbeinu Shalom has a rotzen. You should take care. You should love. You should be mesader your kroivim. Rabbi Kiva Eger was once traveling with a caravan of people, and he asked them if they don't mind, if they would be okay. They're going near his cousin. If they could stop off, and he wants to say hello to his cousin. They figured Rabbi Kiva Eger's cousin. Okay, who knows what's going to be going on over there? What type of terror they're going to talk about? The latest aguna shilas. The kids, they go, the goes, the guy's a shoemaker, doesn't know buck, ois aleph, real amoritz. And they're talking about shoes, nothing. I'm shooting debris. After a half hour, Bekveger says, takes shalom from his cousin, he goes to the caravan. They said to him, Rebbe, we're moicha. We're moicha, we don't understand. Making a protest. Rabbi Kiva Eger, you should go and condescend, belittle yourself, to sit and schmooze with the stam, a person, nothing about nothingness. So Dr. Bekir is like this. He said, what's your taina? That I'm Rabbi Kiva Eger, so you probably hold that I'm a Talmid Chacham, I'm a Zokein. And we know there's a P'tur Zokein, ve'enoi, lafik foidoi. That's your taina, right? That's beneath my dignity. So I'll tell you, the Gemara says there's a contradiction. The pasuk says, lo suchal lehisalim. When you see a lost object, you're not allowed to ignore it. But there's another pasuk. You should ignore it. Contradiction. What do you do? Says the Gemara, there's one example when you could. One case, you should ignore it. That's That's the answer to the stira. Contradiction. One pasuk says, do not ignore. One says, do ignore. What do? Oh, there's one case to ignore. A zokain, beneath his dignity. Very low, we would find the basketball. Doesn't pick it up. Beneath his dignity. How does he know that? V'salamta. It says in there's another pasuk. It says, "Umebisarcha loy sis alam." From your relatives, do not ignore. Do not look away. There's no pasuk for his salamta. There's no pasuk that goes against that pasuk. So there's no petur of zokin that ain't tikvoidik. That's not ma'isa b'kiveger, huh? A psak for b'kiveger. He's not a ba'amayla. He's not. What is he? A cousin, a relative, mekarev kroivov. But he's a mushchis. He's not a ba'amayla. He's a mushchis. I should deal with that. You know what he does? He's not a yashar. Dr. Rambam. It's a fascinating Rambam in Moreh Nevuchim. I don't know if it counts as controversial. It's not a controversial Rambam, to me it's safer. Dr. Rambam.
We'll spin it.
Dr. Rambam. V'zois hamido. Tishmereu schazka zois haTorah yishar moed. The Torah is extremely careful. It watches, is shomer and mechazik, the midah of taking care of your krovim. Ritzoni loymar nesias pnei akrovim ve'etiv lohem. If you're cruel, if you're bad, if you ignore your karev, your relative, achzor, you're a cruel person. But tzedakah goes first to your krovim. And then he says a statement which boggles the mind. The Torah teaches us a tremendous, what would seem exaggerative, level of this midah. Ready for this? Person has to be nice to his krovim, think about them, take care of them. If he's related to them, even if he ba'abled you, he was bad to you, you think he messed you up with the Yerusha, he's a lowlife. It's not possible to not be careful with him, to not be nice upon him and be nice to him. Why? Where does it say that? The Torah says, do not loathe Edom, because he's your brother. Your brother's worse than Edom? Your cousins? Rambam. Like the Torah is telling you, the guys in the dungeons, in the pits, disgusting. We're not talking about one exception. If it's going to be about hashpah and you're a family, that's a different conversation. We're not discussing now a question of hashpah. But it's not an issue of hashpah. He's disgusting. He's a rasha. He's terrible. Rambam. Unbelievable Rambam. Unbelievable Rambam. Russia's an if he's not B'chlal Yisrael, if he's not Pikoris, it's a different shmuz. Have to know. But upon him, if he's tachlis ha'ashchosa and he ba'abled you, usually most people have a problem with relatives because they ba'abled them. Or they feel, I know him, he's mamash shazah, not good person. These types of cheshbainis. That's where it comes from. Or it comes from other cheshbainis that don't even are not worth mentioning, but I'll mention because they have to hear about it. There's two other cheshbainis that I came up with why people don't take care of their krovim. The second reason is they feel like, well, we're raised in the same house. I made it. Why can't he make it? Let him do it on his own. That type of feeling like, I became a something. I got money, so he doesn't have money. It's his fault. There's that type of a feeling people have, like a certain rivalry that you could have with relatives. That's another cheshbon, which obviously doesn't need a Rambam to offset that cheshbon. The third cheshbon that people, I think, have is, it's not geschmack. It's much more geschmack to give a $10,000 check to an ani that's not your car. If you hear about a terrible almana, I help you. I might get a plaque. Even not a plaque. You want to feel good. Forget the plaque. You're a tzaddik, no plaques. But you feel really good. You're an almana story. It's true, and they have to help. They have to help. Your brother, you really feel deep down you should be giving him anyways. So I'm not going to feel good about it. So I'm going to lose the whole tevas hana of feeling good. So Mamela, you don't feel like you're great. He's laughing. Maybe he's a tzaddik. Either he doesn't relate to it, or doesn't chap. That we feel like that. But that's how we feel. We want to feel. We want to feel like we did a good thing. A guy comes to Christ. You feel good that you give him money, right? All of a sudden, then it's like your kid. A big deal. Of course, I gave him money. He's my kid. You don't feel any more great. We want to feel good. It's a good feeling. A person comes and gives you a sob story, and it's a true sob story. You feel good. You feel good. A karoiv is a chiyuv.
A comma for a brother.
You don't feel good.
Right.
You don't feel good.
the chiyuv, you have a
Yeah,
chiyuv.
I'm saying, I'm not pottering you. I'm not pottering you.
You don't get the same hana.
I don't, I'm explaining why people don't do it. I'm saying that that's going to do it. The 3 reasons they don't do it. Number 1, they feel like as a rival, he should have made it on his own. Number 2, this feeling you don't feel geschmack. Those 2 obviously are not good reasons for real. The 3rd, you may have thought is a good reason, is come on, my neighbor is a special straight guy. I want to help him out. My cousin's stamach. You know, he loses all his money, he gambles, he's not, I should stop helping out. I don't want to look at him. That you have a Rambam for. That you have a Rambam for. Rabbi say, so far we discussed 7 Krovim and first cousins, uncles. Uncles are important, you know. But
It doesn't say it stops by.
right. So I'll get now a second. I'm going to go up till now. The Rambam Krovim. I was saying the Taz, Mishabura, and the Ravid. They were talking about first cousins, Suleidis. We'll see in a second. Now we're going to end with this. How far Krovim are able to go? We had like a 5-minute Hagdama with the different people that we were talking about. So I have a couple extra minutes. So you have like a 5-minute Hagdama. It was like a very long one. It's like a point on the recording, like where you could start from if you want, like. You know. So that's Krovim, the Krovim that your mama shall chayiv to, betachlis. That's the first thing. The Zayin Krovim, the cousins that your mama shall achrayis for. Pasha achrayis. Hashem wanted a yid to be born into this world with people taking care of him, with Krovim. The primary, like the front line workers, are his cousins. They're meant to take care of him. Then there's a chiddush more than that. The pasuk, I'll tell you Chasam Sofer, and then I'll tell you the pasuk. The fascinating Chasam Sofer. He's discussing in a tshuva who is called relatives, a guy with tzedakah. And he says, if you have a guy died and he left in his will and he wants to give his money to relatives, he's discussing what's called a card. So it's like this. He has a dik and a Rashi. The Rashi above Mitzvah says, if a person comes to ask you for tzedakah, 2 people, who do you give first? The Gemara says a guy and a yid, you give a yid. Aniyecha v'ani ircha. Lashon Gemara is like this. Lashon Gemara is Ami v'nachri no Ami. Ani v'ashir, and Ani you lend the money first. Aniyecha v'ani ircha. Aniyecha your aniyim. Aniyim in your city. Aniyecha is kaidman. What does your aniyim mean? What is your aniyim? The guy's not an ani, he has money. Aniyim says Rashi Shem Krovim umi mishpachtecha. Your family. They're called your aniyim. Yeah, your aniyim. The ones that you don't want to know that they're related to you. Yeah, it kills your whole name. They're your aniyim. So the Chasam Sofer learns in the Rashi that it's talking about even a 5th cousin. It doesn't say first, it says mishpachtecha. So he has a problem because he's going till now that really Krovim are only Psula Edis. He said like this. He said, if you have Krovim that are Psula Edis, Hechad Ye'ika Krovim mamish, la'olam hamruchakim einam b'chal Krovim, kim av Psula Edis. When it's a question of Psula Edis or not, they for sure, they're real Krovim. But let's say the question is not between that and someone else. There are no Psula Edus that we were discussing. Rather, 2 people come for money. One is a 5th cousin, and one you don't know what he is, or is an 8th cousin. Says the Chasam Sofer. Kol ha'korev lo yafilu ad Yaakov Avinu yesh b'chiv kedima yoser. This Gemara and this Rashi is talking when you don't have Krovim that are Psula Edis that are talking to you. There's 2 aniyim coming to you, and one you know is your 8th cousin, and one is further. So says the Chasam Sofer, he has a kedima. Now, when you think about it, first, Etzem Halacha is astounding. Second, the way the Gemara calls that is astounding. That's Aniyecha. How is he my Ani? He's not my 8th cousin. You know why? And here's a tremendous chiddush being taught. That Hashem Yisbarach wants us to live in this world with a blick, with a sight, that I'm a Yid, and I take care of Yidden. My primary chiv before all the Yidden is my relative. So I have 2 Yidden coming to me. Are one of you close relative? Then Hashem wants me to take care of you. Then you're Aniyecha. You're my Ani. I 7th cousin, you're my ani. Lagabeim, you're my ani. Because a person has to live life with a constant looking, who's closer to me? You're close to relative, I have to take care of you.
Even though he can give Edus against you, he's kosher.
That's right. He's not that level of Karev. But Lagabeim, he's closer. And similar to him, he's a closer.
And he will if you don't get there.
He's a
That means there's no concept of.
Right, so most of the time, at a certain point, you lose cheshbon. So that's Tamaklai Yisrael. But we'd have a Zach cheshbon, then in a Chanami, everyone, that's all there to be. If we know everything. Right. So if you'll know everyone what they are, 40th or 80th cousins, and a Chanami, then everything will be Aniyacha. Then everything, that's always cheshbon. But since we lose cheshbon, so at one point it becomes they're just regular Yidden, and one happened, you both kept the dynasty that you're aiding the Koch of the Maharsha. Say 27 cousins. So that, unless you'll say maybe he's a closer cousin, I don't know. But let's say he's not a closer cousin. He's my 27th cousin. Says the Chasam Sofer. He's passing la halacha. He has a kedima. I'm just teaching the pshat. He's saying the din. The pshat in that is because Hashem wants you to look. I'm taking care of those that are related to me. Now you know the Makar. I think the rice is this is parasha. The pasuk says DODO ben DOD, and then it says or someone further. I mean, a hill and the Sifri is learning Sifra as Pasha Pshat, that's further than first cousins. If there's no first cousin that can redeem you, and I had sold myself to a guy, then you know who has to redeem him? The second cousin, the third cousin, the closest person there, and Bezin forces. The Rambam says Bezin forces. He's in trouble. He's sold to a guy. You're the closest relative. Go redeem him. Go redeem him. He's a Karev. The Rebbeinu Shalom wants us to live life being Mekarev Krevav, taking care of our Krevim as much as we can. In Gashmias, in Ruchnias, the closer the Karev, the more Zayin Krevim for sure. First cousins, through first cousins, of second level, and even past that, if you know someone's your Karev, you have to have that feeling that he needs my help, I'm going to help him out. No one else is helping him, I'm going to take care of him. He is our relative. I'll end with a story. I heard once from Yankel Bender. He said an amazing thing. He said he went to Eretz Yisrael, and he knocked on Beryl Soloveitchik's door. Beryl Soloveitchik, son of the Biskarov. He was a younger man. Yankel Bender was a younger man, just got married. He went to visit. He went to Eretz Yisrael. He knocks on Beryl. So Beryl opens the door. And when he's schmoozing with him, he says, I'm a son of, what was Mrs. Bender's name? Rosen Bender? There's a book about them. What was she called? Basia? Basia Bender. My mother's Basia Bender. So Beryl jumped up. Oi! Mishpoche! Come for a supper. He said, my mother was Beryl's fourth cousin. My mother was Beryl's fourth cousin. The moment I said, Basia Bender's son, he jumped. Oi, Mishpoche! Come for a nachtmahl. Come for supper.
This is only on a father, not on a mother.
Was only a father?
Pasuk is only on the father. Mesh Chacham led us.
Which pasuk on a father?
Pasuk we're talking about craving, that you have to take care of craving.
This pasuk of Ben Dodo, Ben Dodo, is even the mother's kid. So yeah.
He jumped up. He said, a fourth cousin. His mother, fourth cousins. Mishpacha. The feeling of understanding that you have to take care of craving. This is a Torah hashkafa, and it's important for us to realize and to understand and to live like that. And I was thinking what to talk about. I think this will make a difference because it made a difference to me. I thought of this past week, and I sent a text to my uncle. I like my uncle. I've just little to do with him. I see him every year or two. He lives in Queens. I texted him, "How are you, Mayor? A good or something. A good Shabbos." Texted back. That's it. A connection. A shaykhis. You never know when a person doesn't need you. To feel that feeling of commitment to someone that's not necessarily exciting to help out or to have shaykhis to. That's what Torah wants. I got there, boys.
So do I want to be related to more people or I don't want to be related?
Depends to whom.
That's a great story. It's great. Very nice.
Very good.
Who does?
I heard the same reason.
I don't know any of my cousins.
You see, for previous generations, for some of us, we've had relatives who are not from. I have first cousin who are mamish
So
not
not
from.
from is a big
No
shmooze.
shaykhis. I understand, but I could still send them
Yeah, you
Shabbos
should
candles
send-
every time I see
you
them.
should send- you should
Today, Baruch Hashem, most people have,
Right.
my brother in Lakewood, he is all from cousins. All the kids are all from cousins. It's not, for the Ruchnius is a little different. That's what I mean. For those, right, Dudu, you didn't have?
Just by Shlomo now, right before I gave a show at Shlomo's house, he was talking, I don't know, came over, he was talking about it. His mother and his father, both of them, have a bunch of siblings that aren't from, kids aren't from.
And he said most
He talked in the 1910s.
They're not from, right? It was a normal time. He grew up in the 60s, 70s.
Of Salim with the Briskavov, and he was related to Peretz, the big Moscow. He went in to visit this Moscow, and they were again the same story. It was that's what I heard it. The Briskavov. He's related to him, and he went in to visit him, and the people.
Parents school, that parents, right? I mean, he's in Europe,
Moscow.
yeah.
Moscow.
Yeah.
You went to visit him, and he said the same story. That's how
I'll tell you, sir, I don't want it to be recorded. Is it recorded? Are we finished?
No, I'll pause it.
What is it?
Hot mic.
No, because I'll tell you, the person that told it to me, it was years ago. I want to call him and ask him. He told me it's a Shvera story, and I never heard it from anyone else. It's a Maisa that